The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is the new Nicolas Cage movie where Nicolas Cage plays Nicolas Cage. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about this movie. It is a movie that is getting a lot of mainstream attention, which is not something Nicolas Cage has gotten in recent years. And a lot of people are talking about how weird of a concept this is, blah, 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 blah. And it's gotten a lot of good critical reviews. And I'm here to tell you, I went into this movie super excited. And this was one of the most disappointing movies of the year. It is not horrible. This movie is okay. I would say the best way to watch this movie is, you know how movie theaters during the week they'll like mark down tickets, like if you come on Tuesdays it's $5 or whatever. Like my theater that I work at, we do Wednesdays, it's like 5.50, whatever. They mark down the ticket prices and you go see a movie like this. That is the perfect way to watch this movie because there is fun here, but God, this movie is not as good as it could have been. First of all, this movie is very much pitching itself as, oh, look how meta we are, Nicolas Cage movie. This movie is not that meta, to be honest. It just isn't. Um, like, Nicolas Cage plays Nicolas Cage, but that's kind of what he does in every movie, except his name isn't Nick Cage. That's the only thing that's meta about this movie. And then also, like in a couple scenes you'll see like, oh, there are Nicolas Cage movies playing in the background. There's no commentary to these Nicolas Cage movies playing in the background. They'll just be playing in the background. And then there'll be like and then there'll be moments where like people reference his career or whatever, be like, so is it like making The Rock? But they're not making a joke about The Rock. They're just saying, they're just mentioning Nicolas Cage movies or other meta things where Nicolas Cage plays a younger version of himself that he kind of talks to. If you ever seen like The Emperor's New Groove where Kronk talks to like a devil version of himself, kind of like that basically, but younger Nick Cage. Um, like yeah, so this movie really isn't that meta at all because like yeah, there's some meta things to it, but it's not like there's a thesis or a point to it. There's no joke being made about Nicolas Cage, right? And there's a lot there with Nicolas Cage. For instance, did you know that Nicolas Cage's real name is not Nicolas Cage? It's Nicolas Coppola. Like he's part of the Francis Ford Coppola's family. You know, there's a lot of things that people don't know that you can make fun of and satirize and have fun with Nicolas Cage. And I did have fun with this movie, mostly because of Pedro Pascal and stuff. And this movie does take itself way too seriously. There's a subplot about Nicolas Cage and his daughter in this movie that I didn't give a shit about because as soon as that started, I'm going, okay, what's the point of this? There's a subplot about Nicolas Cage retiring from acting, but why would Nicolas Cage in a movie that he's acting in and starring in that's getting the most mainstream attention for the first time in years have his character quit acting in the movie? Obviously that's not what's going to happen by the end of this movie. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not what I wanted. I feel like critics who are praising this are just praising it based off the concept alone and not how the actual concept in the film itself is actually being handled, because it's not being handled well. This is not a meta movie that is making jokes about Nicolas Cage. There are a few in jokes and like stuff that I got, but not a lot of them. The funny stuff isn't even about Nicolas Cage. There's a joke where they're watching Paddington 2 and crying. And it's a good joke. I laugh my ass off, right? But that is not the humor that is not the humor that the movie's trying to sell you on with these trailers and stuff. It is it is not that great of a movie. This honestly feels like some of those direct to video Nicolas Cage movies. And I don't mean the better ones like Mandy or Pig or some of these other ones. I mean some of the lesser ones. And that's really unfortunate because this one had the potential to be great. And they just did nothing with this movie. It wasn't horrible. I was entertained. Would I watch it again? Probably, yeah. But there's a part of me looking at this movie and going, this could have been so much better. And you did nothing. You just did nothing.